They tell me time is a circle, but lying here I feel it's more like a thin rope. I've been walking for years without looking down. My name is Robert. I am 73. People used to call me the life of the party, the man who could always find a laugh and a story. I liked that. It made me feel seen. It made the nights lighter. For a long time, I thought that was enough. A good joke, a warm room, the clink of glasses. I thought comfort was a currency you could spend without counting. And if anyone suggested I should save for a rainy day, I'd laugh and pour another drink. We all have our rituals. Mine was a bottle on the table, a glass in my hand, a reason to talk and not listen to the quiet. In my head, the bottle was a companion. In reality, it was a slow-moving thief. I don't remember the first time I told myself it was only for the weekends. I remember the first time I told myself it was only for the bad days. When my wife, Susan, he got sick, I told myself the liquor kept me steady enough to hold things together. People say grief looks different on everyone. For me, it looked like the bottom of a glass getting closer and closer. I would sit by her bedside and I would sip and nod and tell the nurses I was doing fine. I remember watching her sleep and thinking I was doing a good job of not breaking. Later, in the silence, after she was gone, the bottle filled the empty spaces. It didn't talk back. It didn't ask for dinner. It didn't leave for the store. It was obedient. It was safe. That's the lie. Safety in a thing that leaves you weaker each morning. My son, Michael, used to come by. He is a good man, stubborn like his mother, worried like a son should be. He would stand in the doorway and say, more than once, that I should cut back. He would say it like advice, which made it easier to ignore. Dad, he'd say, just try a week. I would laugh like it was a joke. I'd tell him I was fine, that life was short, and I intended to enjoy it. He would shake his head and worry, but he didn't shout. He had learned that shouting didn't help with me. He learned the language of giving up and doing it quietly. Sometimes, when he left, I would hear the house settle and I would pour another drink because the quiet felt like a room I didn't want to be in at night. We talk about choices as if they are single moments, like flipping a coin. You chose to smoke. You chose to drink. You chose to skip the doctor. But most choices are small, almost invisible. They are the tiny steps that add up until you are somewhere you didn't plan to be. When you are young, the steps feel like playful hops. When you are older, you notice the distance and wonder when you ever stopped watching where you were going. I never pictured myself here tethered to a hospital bed. My right side, indifferent to command. The world oddly loud and small at once. The stroke came like someone closing a book on the paragraph I was reading. Mid-sentence. I can tell you exactly what I was doing the morning it happened, because memory likes drama. I had been pouring a drink because that's what mornings were for. Now and then, and my hand didn't cooperate. The glass slipped. The room went sideways. I remember the taste of metal, the sudden shock of being on the floor, and the absolute clarity that this was not how a man plans his last act. They say things happen fast. Sometimes they float like a slow cloud until you are swallowed. My collapse was not dramatic on the outside, no big movie scene, just the dull, shocking fact that my body would no longer do what my brain asked it to do. The paramedics were kind enough. Michael was there 10 minutes later, and his face looked like a map of every worry he'd carried for years. There was no anger, only that tired, Terrible pity you cannot hide. I know he wished he had screamed louder, that he had argued more, that he had made me stop earlier. Lying here, I think about denial. Denial is not always loud. It is often soft and very persistent. It's the voice that tells you one more drink won't hurt, that you deserve this, that you've earned forgiveness already and can postpone change indefinitely. It's a liar with a gentle voice. I listened. For decades, I let that voice be the loudest in the room. I told myself stories about moderation that I didn't practice. I told myself that the community at the bar, the laughter, to the habit, all that was part of my identity, and that change would be a theft of self. It is strange to discover that identity can be a mask you wear until your face beneath it crumbles. People who have not stood at the edge of a long habit think the solution is a heroic moment, the slap of realization, the tearful vow at the foot of a bed, the dramatic walk into a new life. Sometimes that happens. I can tell you, though, that the painful truth is often quieter, little refusals that never came, the small excuses that never were challenged, the subtle self-negotiations. I should have said yes to my son more. I should have laughed less loudly and listened more closely. I should have let someone make me go to a meeting, to a support group, to a doctor who could have told me things I was not ready to hear. I was too proud for ordinary help. When I close my eyes in the dark now, in this bed I can hear Susan's laugh in the hallway. It is like a recording on a loop, and sometimes I think I can fix everything if I can find the right place to press play. I see the photos where we were young, where the edges of our faces were still smooth, and we pretended forever had no price. Those photos are cruel and tender at the same time. They remind me that the life I valued was built of many choices and many small comforts that each had cost. I wish I could tell my younger self to be suspicious of comforts. I wish I could tell him to be kinder to his future body. Because your body keeps your appointments, even when your mind thinks it has all the time in the world. I want to speak frankly about shame, because shame sits on top of habits like a second skin. I hid the bottle. I did not want people to see the hollow where I once held laughter. I'd take my drink to the shed, to the car, to the back of the closet. Little acts of theft against the people who loved me most. Secrecy makes a thing sacred in the wrong way. Secrecy dignifies the wrong choices and makes them harder to dislodge. When Michael found a hidden bottle in the shed because boys grow up and notice things he did not shout, he simply sat at the kitchen table with the bottle between his hands, like it was evidence at a trial. He wanted me to see myself the way he did, and I did not like what I saw. Being seen was more terrifying than the idea of quitting. I preferred the safe lie that the bottle was a harmless companion. People will say things to me now, if they say them at all, like, "It's never too late." Those words are compassionate. I want to believe them, but being told it's never too late and feeling it in the joints of your body are not the same. I can try to change, to be better in the hours I have left, to make amends to my son and anyone else I've left, dangling on small hurts. Making amends is an awkward business when the ledger is heavy. You can apologize until your voice goes hoarse. But some things are not undone by sorry. The truth is that regret does not fix a clogged artery or the damaged tissue in a life habitually neglected. Regret is a lamp you hold in the dark and use to see the damage. That is all it is useful for. And yet there are small salvations. The nurses who change the linens and hum a tune have a way of taking some of the shame and making it ordinary care. Michael comes and tells me stories about the grandkids, names I can barely remember because they come so fast. Like the new seasons of a show, you cannot binge because your attention grows thin. He holds my hand sometimes, and I can feel the steadiness of his arm, the years compressed into that grip. He does not lecture. He asks about the weather. He brings a newspaper and reads to me sometimes, because his voice fills the space in a way that makes the room less like an ending and more like a pause. Those tiny gestures are not enough to heal the body, but they are enough to stop the shame from becoming the whole of me. I have thought a lot about pride and about how masculinity and generation taught me to be stoic, to be uncomplaining, to be self-sufficient. Those teachings are a religion I followed without ceremony. My father told me to tough it out. His father told him the same. We passed down silence, like a family recipe, the ingredients of which don't bake till someone breaks the bowl. In that silence, habits ferment, connections fray. The simple acts of asking for help, calling the doctor, saying, "I am scared," were presented as weakness. I now see weakness and courage have little to do with each other. Strength is asking for help when you cannot manage alone. It takes more courage to sit in a chair and say, "I don't know how to stop," than to pretend you do. I never learned to do that early enough. If there is one concrete thing I wish to say to anyone listening, especially the people my age and older, it is this: the small choices matter more than the dramatic ones. A missed appointment, one more sandwich, one more evening of mute sadness drowned in a glass, counts. They accumulate. They are compound interest in the wrong account. It is not one night that kills you. It is 1,000 nights that whisper the same lie. If you are watching this and you have a voice that matters to someone, use it. If you have a son, a daughter, a friend, tell them you are worried. It will be hard. It will feel foolish. Do it anyway. Ask the doctor to be blunt. Ask someone to check on you. Let a friend see the bottle if you must. And let them call you out with love. These tiny inconveniences, these interventions, are the ladders that prevent a fall. I have made practical mistakes too. I listened to random advice from passing strangers, the internet, the fellow barflies. I tried quick fixes and folk remedies for loneliness. I told myself that knowledge was the same as action. It is not. Knowledge is only useful when mixed with effort. I could give you all the facts now. How alcohol affects blood pressure. How steady consumption corrodes nerve pathways. How your liver and heart are betrayed slowly. But facts are cold when what you need is a hand to help steady you across the threshold of change. The truth is that facts are windows. Someone needs to open them and let the fresh air in. There are moments I regret more than the drinking itself. I regret the conversations I missed because I was half present. The granddaughter I forgot to learn to braid hair with. The apology I never delivered to a friend before he died. Those are the currency of a life well spent, and I squandered them. I traded presence for escape. If there is a small mercy in this bed, it is that I can still remember, and remembering makes me honest. Honesty is the first step to repair, and repair is not a single act but a stitch-by-stitch undertaking. I don't want to be sanctimonious. I do not want to stand on a pedestal of repentance and preach. I only want to say what I wish someone had said to me with love, plainness, and persistence when there was still time to be saved cheaply. Tell someone you love them without letting months go by. Ask about their nights. Notice the smell of their clothes. If you see a bottle hidden in a shed, sit down at the kitchen table with it between you, not to shame, but to open conversation. The world does not need another scolding. It needs another person who will sit and listen and be willing to help fold a life back together. Sometimes people ask if I am afraid. I have thought about that a lot. Am I afraid of dying? Less so now. Death has the soft honesty of a door that closes gently. I am afraid of what my absence will do to those I leave behind. The small inconveniences that accumulate into a burden, the unpaid bills, the unanswered questions. I am afraid my son will continue the quiet I modeled, and that his grandchildren will inherit the habit of not speaking. I am afraid people will read my story and nod and say, "He could have stopped," and then go on drinking because it is inconvenient to change. That would be a tragedy not of my making, but one I could not bear to witness. I would like to end with a suggestion that is both small and enormous. Begin one small habit of life that is the opposite of what hurt you. If you drank to fill silence, choose to sit in a different kind of silence with a neighbor or a friend. If you ate to celebrate, find another way to celebrate. Call someone. Go for a walk. Plant a seed. If you were lonely, volunteer 1 hour a week. If you hid, let someone in. These are not glamorous acts. They are not headlines. They do not promise instant transformation. But in their steady repetition, they can change the arc of a life. I do not expect miracles for myself. I do not know how many days I will see. I know enough about time to know that it is both a gift and a deadline. I know that if I had it all to do over, I would have chosen differently. I can't have that choice again. But maybe my telling this, my slow, awkward confession, can be something like a window opened by a neighbor who notices smoke. It might be enough to wake someone and make them step outside before the whole house starts to burn. So please, if you are listening, take the small steps. Say the hard words. Let someone help you carry the weight you have been hiding. And if you ever stand in a kitchen and find a bottle with dust on it, do not move it to the closet. Put it on the table. Make a cup of tea and talk. It is never glamorous, but sometimes it is the only thing that keeps a person from falling. If I had done that sooner, perhaps I would be telling a different story. As it is, this is the story I have, and I hope it is enough to make someone else pause and choose one small kindness toward their tomorrow.